Countries in Europe that have condemned the Russian invasion. Pretty much every country in Europe besides Belarus and Serbia. Wait, what about those microstates? I don't see anything from Liechtenstein, Andorra either. Hold up. Or was it just not filled in? Because San Marino didn't say squad either. What the hell is even this? What did you do to Denmark? I'm gonna just go ahead and assume that Ukraine probably condemned the attack as well. Craziest of all those to see Switzerland finally taken aside. So obviously this pretty much matches up perfectly with the Who Does Europe Support map. It's almost entirely Ukraine besides Serbia and Belarus. I like this migrating Icelandic island here. Here are all the areas that are having anti-war protests in Russia. Considering the east over here doesn't have very many people living in it, it shouldn't be too surprising to see most of it's coming from over this way. And this is only when the whole thing first began. I'm going to assume this is only going to increase over time. Holy crap, according to this, over 1,000 people were apprehended in this province. And this is just as far as we know. It'd be crazy to get the real numbers. The value of the Russian ruble over the last 20 years, starting in the year 2000 when Putin became president. Boom, we have after Russia annexed Crimea, it went super downward spiral, and now it's only beginning to do that again here in 2022. The first big decrease is actually after Russia invaded Georgia in 2008. There seems to be kind of a pattern here. Let's see if anyone else figures that whole thing out. Here's a little bit of context for Americans who don't truly understand the size of Ukraine. It is the second biggest country in terms of landmass in Europe, and you can see the western side here would stretch all the way out to Chicago, and the eastern side to New York, and then Toronto in the north, and Washington, D.C. Actually, no. North Carolina would be where Crimea is. So it's obviously a pretty thick country, if you couldn't tell. And if you're in a Pacific state like me and don't understand the whole East Coast stuff, pretty much stretches from Los Angeles to almost Texas. It's definitely beyond Albuquerque, New Mexico, that's for sure. They'd even touch a little bit of the corner of Colorado. It's pretty much like a wide Texas. Here's a look at World Flight Radar map. It's been like this for a few days, but yeah, most planes are avoiding this place entirely. I'm actually a little surprised to see this one over Belarus as of the recording of this video. I thought they were just trying to avoid that territory as well. Here are all the countries that have banned Russian planes from their airspace, and I don't even think this is up to date. I think the entire EU just did a total ban on all Russian aircraft, but initially it was Finland, the Baltic states, Germany, Poland. United Kingdom is not in the EU, but they still banned them. It might end up looking like this if it hasn't already at this point. It's probably only a matter of time. I guess Switzerland kind of gets to stay neutral. I don't know how a plane would magically just appear in this landlocked area and then only fly within their borders. Here's how this whole thing supposedly got started: NATO's eastern expansion after the Cold War. So during the Cold War, we had places like Greece, Turkey, Italy, France, Western Germany, because Germany was split up. And in the light blue, we have all the countries that joined after the fall of the Soviet Union, obviously, because they were pretty much puppets of the Soviet Union or in the Warsaw Pact. So they kind of had to join after the Soviets were gone. There were two countries in blue that joined after the Crimean annexation, apparently, and then Georgia, Ukraine, and Bosnia, the stripes, have aspirations to join. What's really been freaking me out a lot is the fact that Finland hasn't joined. Are they still just really cocky about how they embarrassed the Soviets during the Winter War? Maybe they're still fully confident with their ski divisions. It's hard to really show these battle maps because things are changing so fast, and it's, I think, kind of really too early to tell what's going on. But for the most part, this is generally how most people have it all mapped out. I was really not expecting the map community to be on this so quickly. I should have known better, though. I've been watching this channel like every day. I like the way this map portrays occupied territory because it is kind of gray. Like, these fade effects are good instead of like a solid line because we don't generally know the exact location. Everything's just so fluid right now. And you can see where certain battles are taking place in bigger cities. A shaded relief map of Ukraine showing you the different sea level areas of the country. I didn't realize how mountainy this region was, but I really should have. This is the famous Carpathian mountain area, which pretty much divides Romania in half, edges just a little bit into Ukraine like we saw, and then really gets into Poland and Slovakia. It's the third longest European mountain range. The next big high elevation area seems to be in Crimea down south, and then the rest of this just really shows how low and flat it is, which I've definitely heard that before. Russia's biggest fear is how flat their country is. It's very easy to invade. There's really not a whole lot of mountains here to hide in. A comparison between NATO and Russia's military forces. We saw a guide just like this not too long ago between Ukraine and Russia, just Ukraine. Obviously, it was pretty one-sided. Although with all the new developments, I'd love to see a new update to this. But this is a comparison using a whole different beast. 5.4 military personnel to 1.3, 144,000 armored units to 60,000, 4,000 planes, I guess, in their air force to 20,000. Naval forces are pretty one-sided as well, as long with, oh, okay, the whole boom boom devices. It's pretty similar. Actually, Russia has more of those. Oh, that's not terrifying. That's basically their get out of jail free card. This stuff is constantly changing though. I bet you there's a tiny difference by the time you're seeing this. Here is armed forces personnel. We have China #1 in the year 2005. India starts to pop up, but not, are they gonna pass them? I don't know. EU is actually really high up there in 3rd place. It's 2012 and USA is actually going down. Russia starts popping up a bit after the 2014 Crimea thing. India's #1 at over 3 million. The USA has slightly less than Russia, but once you include the EU, it's pretty one-sided. Oh, and there is Ukraine just sitting slightly above France and Japan. A visualization of the official Ukraine Twitter account. It's really been getting popular recently. It started with this meme in October 18th. Promoting Ukrainian regions is nice, getting out of them is better. Not bad, 16,000 likes. That was their bigger posts over the last year. They had another slightly big one with 13,000 likes. What are you in for? I tried to invade Ukraine twice. I was there for this one. I was on ground zero. But this is the one that shook the world on December 20th, types of headaches. I covered this several times. Almost 500,000 likes. So at this point, I think the Russian forces had already been building up along their border for at least a month. So I think the world was already kind of like, what is going on? And then they tweeted this out. They had another big one back in January. Stop saying Ukraine crisis. There is no crisis. There's a bad neighbor. At this point, the whole world is watching this account, basically. I'm going to just assume they did not have 1.6 million followers a year ago. Here's all the surprising countries that support Russia's recognition of those eastern Ukrainian regions, Donetsk and Luhansk. Belarus, because obviously that should be the least surprising. Syria, that's also not a big shocker either. Venezuela, because, yeah, although I thought they were competing for, like, who's going to have the worst inflation. And then finally, Nicaragua. I have no idea why Nicaragua would support this, but probably a strange look, that's for sure. Really surprised that North Korea hasn't jumped on board with this. Probably by the time this video releases, they will. Warheads by country. Starting in the 50s and 60s, the USA was way far out ahead, and then by the 70s, the Soviet Union just jumps right on past them. Are we going to see a flag change in 1991? We better. 40,000. Okay, so yeah, the US tried to stop doing that. They did do a flag change. That was cool. Yeah, so they started doing what? Limiting the arms. All these other countries just kind of made one to make one. So Russia's been coming on down, and by 2014 it was almost tied. But like we saw from that other map, when you combine the rest of NATO, which is really just France and the UK, it's not adding that much. Yeah, this is probably not good. Here's how to survive an explosion though, according to FEMA. Get inside, and stay tuned. Brick or concrete is best though. Remove contaminated clothing and wash your skin. Keep pets inside, very important. Definitely, hopefully listen for information on the outside. I don't think I would have done this. I think my initial instinct would just to be like to run. Maybe that is a bad idea. Here's how to prepare a house for defense. Kind of in the same vein, I guess. There is no end to the task that will improve your defense. The only limiting factor will be time. So you want to put an observation hole somewhere at the top to take a look. Use things like curtains to cover the windows. Floorboards should be removed. Why would that be? Temporary stairways. Oh, you can cut out holes, I see. Where's make a moat? I mean, that's basically what this barbed wire is. Oh yeah, completely like just destroy the stairs if you can. Where are you supposed to get all these sandbags from? You kind of want to destroy the house even more to make it more defensible. I definitely wouldn't have thought of that. Oh, fighting in the dark. Yeah, get rid of all the light. Traditional stone German houses is well suited to defense. That sounds familiar. Oh, here's a poll asking Finland if they should join NATO. So with all the events that took place with Russia in 2014, it was at an all-time high, or I don't know if it was an all-time high, but according to this diagram, it was high, 26%. Overwhelmingly still very no. 2015, yes, went down to don't know. 2017, no is still really high. And then finally in 2022, I wonder when they conducted this. I think most of the world is really wondering why. I'm really curious why they wouldn't. What is the argument for no? I guess it has something to do with Finlandization, which is the process of one powerful country making a smaller neighbor country refrain from opposing the former foreign policy rules. What? What the hell did I just read? So it gets to keep its independence and its own political system. Basically, like, just stay neutral. Yeah, Finland was neutral and independent during the Cold War, but would adapt to the Soviet Union. So maybe that's why they still kind of think that way today, just stay neutral. I don't normally think of Finland when I think of neutrality. Their neighbors, Sweden, yeah. Here's a look at Operation Unthinkable. We've discussed this before, but it's basically where the Allies immediately go after the communist bloc. And I mean immediately, it's 1945, so they just defeated the Axis. It would be a surprise attack that would see 47 American, British, Canadian, and Polish divisions push the Red Army back, and that would probably be followed with a showdown somewhere in Poland. Involving 8,000 tanks, it would have been the largest armored clash in history. Yeah, this is kind of a scary thought, seeing as the whole nuke thing was just being discovered. I only know about this because of Hoi4.
And big thanks to my Patreon supporters.
Young Waifu,
Fat Nuts,
Gerbil Boy,
Why Am I Doing This,
Sussy Melody,
RyeThePie,
Nora the Bald Free Smiley
Philipp
Lover,
RF,
Ortin 5610,
Drew's Argentinian
Alex Whitley is
Grandpa,
Mega Chad,
Alfonso M6,
aPhatNarwhal,
AryanAfterHours, Barnsky
Bring Back
W,
Polandball,
Canadian Union,
istoledrewspetdog,
Louise,
LuxembourgLover,
Majestic Unicorn,
MaxCooper,
McBlorf,
and
Mimoshiki.